Dear friends, today we talk of the Buddha nature. The pure and true mind is being fundamental. It's Buddha nature. That's the seed of Buddhahood. One can get fire if one holds a lens between the sun and the moksha. But where does the fire come from? The lens is at the enormous distance from the sun, but the fire certainly appears upon the moksha by means of the lens. But if the moksha won't have the nature to kindle, there won't be no fire. In like manner, if the light of Buddha's wisdom is concentrated upon the human mind, its true nature, which is Buddhahood, will be enkindled, and its light will be illuminated, the minds of the people with its brightness, and will awaken faith in Buddha. He holds the lens of the wisdom before all human minds, and thus their faith may be quickened. Often people disregard the affinity of their true minds for Buddha's enlightened wisdom, and because of it are caught by enlightenment of worldly passions, becoming attached to the discrimination of good and evil, and then lament over their bondage and suffering. Why is that the people possessing this fundamental and pure mind should still cling to illusions and doom themselves to wander about in the world of delusion and suffering, covering their own Buddha nature while all about them is the light of Buddha's wisdom? Once upon a time, a man looked into the reverse side of the mirror and not seeing his face and hands, he became insane. How unnecessary it is for a man to become insane merely because he carelessly looks into the reverse side of the mirror. It's just a foolish and unnecessary for a person to go on suffering because he doesn't attain enlightenment where he expects to find it. There is no failure in enlightenment. The failure lies in those people who for a long time have sought enlightenment in their discriminating minds, not realizing that there are not true minds but are imaginary minds that have been caused by the accumulation of greed and illusion, covering and hiding their true mind. If the accumulation of the false beliefs is cleared away, enlightenment will appear. But strange enough, when people attain enlightenment, they will realize that without false belief, there couldn't be no enlightenment. Buddha nature is not something that comes to an end. Though wicked men should be born beasts or hungry demons or fall into hell, they never lose their Buddha nature. However buried in the defilement of flesh or concealed at the root of the worldly desires and forgotten it may be, the human affinity for Buddhahood is never completely extinguished. There is an old story told of a man who fell into a drunken sleep. His friends stayed by him as long as he could, but being compelled to go and fearing that he might be in want, the friend hid a jewel in the drunken man's garment. When the drunken man recovered, not knowing that his friend had hid a jewel in his garments, he wandered about in poverty and hunger. A long time afterwards, the two men met again, and the friend told the poor man about the jewel and advised him to look for it. Like the drunken man of the story, people wonder about suffering in This life of birth and death, unconscious of what is hidden away in their inner nature, pure and untarnished and priceless treasure of Buddha nature. However, unconscious people may be of the fact that everyone has within his possession this supreme nature, and however discarded and ignorant they may be, Buddha never loses faith in them because he knows that even in the least of them there are potentiality, all the virtues of Buddhahood. So Buddha awakens faith in them who are deceived by ignorance and cannot see their own Buddha nature, leads them away from their illusion and teaches them that originally there is no difference between themselves and Buddhahood. Buddha is one who has attained Buddhahood, and people are those who are capable of attaining Buddhahood. That is all the difference that lies between them. But it is if a man thinks that he has attained enlightenment, he is deceiving himself, for although he may be moving in that direction, he has not yet reached Buddhahood. Buddha nature doesn't appear without diligent and faithful effort, nor is the task finished until Buddhahood is attained. Once upon a time, a king gathered some blind men about an elephant and asked them to tell him what an elephant was like. The first man felt a tusk and said an elephant is like a giant carrot. Another happened to touch an ear and said it was like a big fan. Another touched its trunk and said it was like a pestle. Still another, who happened to feed its leg, said it was like a mortar. And another, who grasped its tail, said it was like a rope. Not one of them is able to tell the king the elephant's real form. In like manner, one might partially describe the nature of man, but would not be able to describe the true nature of human being, the Buddha nature. This is only one possible way by which the everlasting nature of man, like Buddha nature, that cannot be disturbed by worldly desire or destroyed by death, can be realized, and that is by Buddha and Buddha's noble teaching. Thank you. Be happy.